looking at lesson 6.5, solving multi-step inequalities. These are some of our learning targets in 8th grade, and our main goal as we look at these is to use 2 or more steps to solve our inequalities. Now, we've been solving some pretty complex equations in chapter 6. We are now going to look at solving multi-step inequalities. Remembering that our less than and greater than are both going to be open circles. When it's less than, our line will be going to the left. When it's greater, with our open circle, will be going to the right. Remember, the key thing is you always want to have your variable, then your inequality, and then your number. And if you keep things in this order, things usually work out pretty nice for graphing. Now, a lot of times you might have to rewrite it, remembering also that our less than or equal is going to have a closed circle, and our greater or equal will also have a closed circle because of the equal that includes the number and going to the right. So as we look at this equation, our first goal is to get the 4y by itself. How do we do that? We're going to subtract 10. Please make sure you're doing this in your notes. As you do this in your notes, 10 minus 10 is 0. We're left with 4y. Our inequality stays the same, and 18 minus 10 gives us 8. This is working out rather nicely to give us a nice integer. They're not always going to be integers. Y is less than 2. So on our number line, I definitely want to have 2. I might have 3, 1, 0. Because it is less than 2, I'm looking at all solutions with an open circle. It cannot be 2, but it can be every number less than 2, every real number. And if I check that, the easiest number to check, if I'm always thinking of checking, is what if I pick one of these numbers that make this true? And the easiest one for me to check is x equals 0. Excuse me, y equals 0. And if y equals 0, 10 plus 4 times 0, will that be less than 18? Well, 4 times 0 is 0. Is 10 less than 18? It checks, and my line is going in the right direction. In this next one of the key things you want to keep in mind is, remember the reversing inequality sign. We are going to subtract 8 from both sides. Now, some of you might like to think of this as plus a negative 8, but minus 8 works for most of you. Here's where the mistake often happens. Remember, this is like plus a negative 2m. So when we add these together, the negative sign stays with it. Negative 2m is greater or equal to 24 minus 8 gives us 16. We now, since it's negative 2 times m, the coefficient is negative 2. We need to divide both sides by negative 2. Once we've done that, m, and we're going to have negative 8, but here's where it gets tricky. Remember, multiply or divide by negative, and we flip our inequality. So in this case, m is less than negative 8. Now again, I might put negative 8 right here. I could put 0 here. I could have negative 4. I could have negative 16. I could have negative, if we are looking and continuing these. Or you can go by ones. It wouldn't matter. So if you wanted to go by ones or by another number so that you can show these numbers. Now, where is m less than negative 10? Again, it's less or equal, so it's going to be a closed circle at negative 8. Where are all the numbers less or equal? To the left, because remember, we have variable, the inequality points less than negative 8. Easy point for me to check is maybe negative 10. If I'm checking this, m equals negative 10. How do we do our check? The same way we've checked before. 8 minus 2. But instead of putting in all of these solutions, we're going to plug in negative 10. And we're trying to check, is that greater or equal to 24? Well, 8, we might think of writing this as plus a negative 2, or if you put it in your calculator, I get 8 plus 20, which gives me 28. And that is definitely greater or equal to 24. So my line is going in the right direction. Again, if you wouldn't have reversed it, you might have had the line going this way, and then when you check one of these numbers, it does not make it true. Key thing is we are looking at this, and you might want to say this in your head a few times over and over. You reverse the inequality when you multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative number. You should try saying this to yourself maybe 3 times or re-watching it. This is what you want to get in your head. The way you can think of doing that is if we multiply, and we know this is a true statement, 8 is less than 12. Since we know 8 is less than 12, if we multiply both sides by -2, we get -16 and -24. But the one that is really less now is -16 is greater than -24. So when we think of multiplying or dividing any by -2, our inequality is always going to change. So it must reverse the inequality. Here are two more examples that I would like you to try. And I really guess at this point, I think I would have you do both number 1 and 2. In number 1, hopefully I'm going to be seeing you reversing the inequality. And in number 2, the easiest way to do this, remember, you want to get all the variables on one side, so this could be under combining like terms. We need to subtract 4a from both sides to begin solving this. When we do that, 6a minus 21 is greater than 15. You should be able to continue solving this, and we'll take a look at that in class tomorrow. The last one I want to talk about, so the combining like terms, that would go here. If we are looking at distributive property, remember, you must do this multiplication first. So 9m minus 27, and again, some of you might like writing plus a -27, is less than 29 plus 2m. Again, since I always want my variables to come first, I am going to subtract 2m. Sometimes I'll usually just subtract the smallest, which in this case is the 2m. I'm left with 7m plus a -27 is less than 29. I am now adding 27 to both sides of my equation, or my inequality. 7m is going to be less than, and in this case I should be looking at 50, and in this case we're going to add those together, so we should have 56. You should finish this problem by showing me your division by a coefficient of 7. You're going to have your solution, m is less than, and then I would like you to graph it on a number line. We're going to practice more of these in class tomorrow. And those of you that are absent, hopefully this will help you to understand as you are working on your worksheet. Have a nice night.